right, it's another edition of Optrics Insider. This is Scott Young with Sean Sturby, our Technical Services Manager. So today's three topics, we have SIGRed, Twitter has a security breach, and Outlook seems to be crashing. So let's talk about SIGRed. This is actually something that must be significant because even our insurance company pointed it out to, sent an email out and pointed it out to all their clients. So let's talk about SIGRed.
So SIGRed is a Microsoft Windows DNS Server remote wormable exploit. Proof of concept hasn't been released yet, but it definitely is going to be only a little while before that. And yeah, you're right. It's very serious. In fact, the Department of Homeland Security told the U.S. government department and agencies they had 24 hours to patch. So there is a workaround to limit the size of a SIG package that can be requested, but definitely is something that you want to get patched as soon as possible.
So when we say a SIG package, can you explain what that is?
Very similar to a SSL certificate for a web server. There can be signatures for the root certificates and the various DNS server certificates, and this is a certain type of query that comes back with a certificate or a signature.
So ultimately, as our insurance company pointed out, it's just a way of a hacker breaching your network and getting access to whatever it is they want. So hopefully your IT guy isn't, or gal isn't on holidays, because it sounds like this is a patch that needs to be done right away.
Correct.
Okay. Number two, Twitter has a security breach. What happened there?
So it appears that on July 15th, about 130 high-profile accounts, and some of these names are things like former President Barack Obama, to the corporate accounts for companies like Apple, were probably by using social engineering handed over to some Bitcoin people, Bitcoin scammers. So they were basically tweeting out by these various certified or verified accounts, if you send us Bitcoin, we'll send you back double. If it sounds too good to be true, it is. However, the wallet address that was tweeted out has received over $100,000 worth of Bitcoin already. So it was successful. So Twitter says that it was likely social engineering. These Bitcoin scammers were able to get access to some internal tools that Twitter uses, and as a result, we're able to take over these accounts, these 130 or so targeted accounts. High-profile individuals with lots of followers, so that their impact is going to be big. Other names include Bill Gates, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Uber. Coordinated social engineering attack.
One thing, speaking of Bitcoin miners and investors, I've noticed on Instagram, if you have an account, there's lots of, if you get to post something and then you get somebody liking it that you don't know, often it could be a Bitcoin investor, I'm going to put it in air quotes, who follows you, hoping that you'll follow them back, and then they'll use that as a way of saying, hey, I can invest Bitcoin for you. And actually, it's happened to me, and I ask questions, so how does this work? And it's basically, well, you give me money, I invest it for you, and they have all these pictures of lots of money and all their customers who are happy with them, and you're just shaking your head going, I don't know about this. But so anyways, if you choose to invest with these people, that is completely up to you. Just go in with eyes wide open. Okay, our third topic is Outlook crashing. Is this an Office 365 issue, or is this Outlook self-hosted, if you want to call it that, or desktop version?
It appears to have been an Outlook patch issue. So it affects, of course, because so many people are on hosted Office 365, it affects them. It appears to have been a disconnect between what the email server exchange and the Outlook client were expecting, and so as a result, the symptom was that Outlook just would not launch. It would launch and then it would crash, and there wouldn't even be an error message unless you went digging for it. Some people were able to roll back to a previous version of Outlook and get Outlook working. I actually worked with a client, and we had to, on a particular system, we were able to launch Outlook in safe mode. And so at this point, Microsoft has investigated, they've pushed out a fix, and it should be resolved for everybody here this morning. So definitely was pretty big, because when most people talk about their email client, what they're talking about is Outlook.
As an aside, when stuff like this happens, I suppose your alternatives, if you are working and then all of a sudden Outlook doesn't work and it's going to take a while to fix, some alternatives would be to look at if you have a webmail version of your email client. So it's something to talk to your IT department about. And I guess this would be, if you're in a large organization, don't do it on your own. It'd have to be under the guidance of your IT department, but looking at a different email client would be another option. But I would assume the webmail version would be what most people would do if they have that.
That was the workaround in that case, yes.
Sure, cool. Okay, anything else you'd like to discuss?
No, that was the big three for this week. Interesting in that with the SIGRed, we were able to use some tools like the Manage Engines Desktop Central to push out the workaround and restart the service, and then schedule the actual push of the update over the weekend when it would impact the least amount of people.
Right. Yeah, that's definitely something to consider, is when do you do the patches. Doing a patch during the day generally takes all the computers down because it's trying to rebuild stuff. So scheduling them after hours around weekends is definitely the way to go, but I guess you'll have to deal with it as you deal with it. So our three topics today, SIGRed, Twitter security breach, as well as Outlook crashing. So as always, if you find these topics of interest and you'd like to give us an idea of what you'd like us to talk about next, or have a question for Sean, please leave a comment. Of course, you can help get the word out by sharing, liking, and subscribing to this video, whichever way you saw it. We have it posted all over the place. But thanks again, Sean, for your insight. Stay safe out there, everyone, and we'll see you next week. Bye for now.